Father Figures Season 3 has been about change, the constant of change, the kind of management of change, and the ability to recognize that whatever before you're in, there's an after you're before, and there's a before you're after. So, it's a little confusing when, you go from, being a single person to maybe a partnered person to maybe little people living in your house with you. And then, you go from the baby stage to the toddler stage, yada, 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 so on and so forth. And one day you turn around and you think, I wonder who I am now. And so that's what a lot of the conversations have been about in this season. Hopefully you've been enjoying them. Feel free to leave us a like and a follow and a comment. Those things actually go a really long way anytime somebody leaves a little review. But today on the pod, we get to talk to a mate that Heath and I have had for many years, the lead singer of a band called Antiskeptic, lead songwriter, singer. He's produced dozens of albums for lots of different artists. He currently works as in kind of using music as a therapeutic tool with NDIS clients. He's starting an amazing new store that I'll let him tell you about that has something to do with Lego. And he's just a guy that has lived it out over and over again, gone through really hard stuff, come out the other side. And I think there's plenty of good lessons that we get to learn from folks like this when we get to chat to them. So this guy's name is Andrew Kitchen, and I think you're going to have a blast listening to him share about the growth that's happened in his life as he's discovered change, dealt with change, and then moved through to become a little bit better on the other side. Some 25 years ago, I was at Luna Park and some young bucks got up there and played very loud music. The kind of music I wished I could play. The kind of music that, in another life I might have been good at or rock and roll enough to do. But I did get to meet the effervescent trio. And over the years developed somewhat of a friendship with the guy that plays guitar faster than I can, sings faster, in fact does most things faster than I can. Andrew Kitchen, welcome to Father Figures.
Oh, g'day mate, how you doing? Thank you for that intro.
I was trying to think, I'm pretty sure it was a Luna Park, like a Youth Alive thing maybe?
Yeah. And it may have even been like Rod Laver Arena or something like that. Or
yeah, I don't know, but I remember it was some sort of youth event. Yeah. And I remember seeing you guys, and just your music just gets the pulse racing. Your stage presence is astounding. For the non-musicians out there, I play what's called hack guitar. So you put your fingers in a spot called a power chord, and then you just strum a lot. And really, I'm a drummer pretending to be a guitarist. That's the way I approach guitar. Mr. Kitchen, you can do that, but with a great finesse, and your fingers move all over the fretboard. Where did that start for you? What was the album? What was the music that started that fascination for you?
Gosh, gee, if you really go back a long way, I think that I found an old hymn book when I was starting to learn guitar.
Did everyone else just get whiplash from that answer? I was starting to learn guitar. I found an old hymn book.
Yeah.
That's unique. Okay.
But the interesting thing about this hymn book, it had actually the tablature, like the chord, like not just the chord written, but next to it was the little diagram of where you put your fingers to play that chord.
Yeah.
And so right from the start, like within like months of starting to play guitar, I was like, man, like I feel like playing the 3-chord version of this song is nowhere near as impactful or melodic or expressive as like I hear when I'm hearing it played on an organ or something. I'm like, I want to play Amazing Grace on my acoustic guitar to be able to play the chords and the melody at the same time. And so I'd very, very slowly get my fingers around these chords and I guess that kind of thinking sort of carried right through in my guitar playing, in that when I speak to young people about musicality and songwriting, I talk to them about that there's no passengers.
Mm-hmm.
So that like the guitar has to talk to the message of the song. Like it's not just, oh, that chord, that chord, that chord. It's like, Well, hang on. Like, let's actually go. What if you could only play the guitar to try and communicate with the lyrics?
Yeah.
What would the guitar part be? And I don't know. It also might be a an undiagnosed ADHD or something. I don't know. But I just get bored of like jin 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 jin. Like I'm just like I'd prefer to like chuck in a few little slides or riffs or anything like that.
Is it weird that as soon as you started doing that, my brain went, "Oh, the small things."
Well, there's a lot of bands that kind of influenced us where we're at, but I was also
Mm.
listening really broadly as well. So
Yeah.
my sphere of influence musically was really, really wide and diverse. So
You're a details guy. You're a Lego collector. You're a Lego builder. You've built your own home studio. Everything I see you do with intensity and detail. Were you the kid with the neatest bedroom growing up?
no, no, not at all. You could speak to my mum and dad, and they will attest to that fact. I think that the thing that I have lived with is that I'm just prepared to have a go.
Hmm.
Like, like when we moved into this very home, where just about everything didn't work when we moved in, I was just like, plumbing. How
I can
hard
do.
can this be?
It's
I
pipes.
got
It's all
this.
pipes.
And landscaping,
Yeah.
even electrical, doing all the, roughing in cables. I
Right.
can do that. And then I just get someone who with,
Yeah, you get the real guy. Yep.
with the license just to go, oh, great, all the cables are in. I'm going to be here for an hour. And I'm like, that was the idea.
Oh my goodness, you've just told me how I could have saved tens of thousands of dollars over the years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ah, well.
So yeah, I was always just a have a go kind of guy.
What's your brothers, sisters? What's your family makeup?
One older sister, 3 years older, lives in Perth with her husband and their two kids,
Hmm.
and music director and teacher. And Jonathan is a senior pastor of Mount Pleasant Baptist Church.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, they love it over there. So very pleased for them.
You grow? Are you a churchy kid? You grew up in church world?
Yes, yes, I did. My dad was the senior pastor of Heathmont Baptist Church. Was kind of he was there for about 8 or 9 years or something like that, and then
Hmm.
Camberwell Baps for a while. Then he moved around a bit. Yeah, so
And are you the pastor's kid that played? Did you play the music in the church?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I learned guitar to play in the worship band and stuff
So
like that.
that's the hymn book connection for you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so your dad. Tell us about your relationship with your dad.
Yeah. So like, my dad is the third of five boys.
Wow.
So he grew up in a very boy household. They did have a younger sister, Meredy, who ended up marrying Tim Costello. So we're all connected in these worlds, aren't we?
I'm getting a lot of Baptist vibes. Just if
Yeah,
you're not a
yeah,
churchy person listening to this, we just talked about a lot of Baptisty people just now. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. So,
Ironically, somewhere along the line, I became a Baptist minister too. I don't know quite how
yeah,
that happened,
right.
but here we
Yeah,
are.
yeah,
Maybe it was
yeah.
you, man. Maybe secretly, I just wanted to be in your world.
Who knows?
Mm.
Yeah, so my dad probably the two older brothers were like high intellectuals, nailed the academics, all that
Mm.
kind of
Mm.
thing. And my dad would honestly, he would tell you straight up that that was not an area of expertise in his life, and that he was much more of a pastor right from early on.
Yeah.
He'd prefer to be with people and talking and relating and listening and hearing stories and telling stories than he would in diving into, you know,
He wasn't going to do his doctoral thesis, put it that way.
no,
No.
no. But he found his way, and probably the way I appreciate him now that I'm sort of middle aged myself, is too that I'm finding my way, despite being a person that hasn't done further education or uni or that kind of thing. God's provided things for me to do and a way for me to provide for my family throughout the years, despite not doing the study. But he ended up going to Bible college and all that kind of stuff.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, but again, I would say that sounds like a creative process of following your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a spiritual direction there, but he's just done what he was wired to do and ended up
Yeah.
being qualified in what he was wired to do, which is, I think, when it comes to dadding, and I'm sure you do with your kids too. I've got a couple now that are old enough to ask, "What am I supposed to do with my life?" kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And I know it's not I know it's not a very succinct, it's not a very direct answer, but I try to encourage them to do what comes naturally to them.
Mm,
And this world has a way, doesn't always work. It's not always guaranteed, but
mm.
there is an idea of develop what's natural for you to develop and find a way to provide from that. So
Yeah, yeah,
would it be I don't think it'd be too much of a stretch to say you've followed in your father's footsteps and you've found things that bring you joy or bring you grounding
yeah.
or, you collect other people around you using a guitar, I believe.
Mm,
That
mm.
seems to be what you do.
Yeah, 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 that's it. And I think that in my more recent days, with my work through the NDIS and actually helping other people write songs, I
Mm.
think that a bit more of my pastoral heart has come out. Like in a 2 hour session these days, sometimes we're still talking at an hour and 15 minutes, and I'm like,
We should probably do some
we
music, eh?
should we should let's just strum a guitar so I can put that in the case notes. Um, so yeah, it's been a long journey to sort of land on something that feels like it's a really good fit for my skill set and also for my pastoral heart. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to.
Tell us about your family. What's your family makeup now? You're
I
married with
have a
children?
wife whose name's Katie,
Yeah.
and she is the garden therapist at the Royal Children's Hospital, or she heads up that team of people, and she loves it there.
Yeah.
So she's very brave in that she spends a lot of time with very sick kids, uh, and comes home sometimes very very heavy of heart, and
Mm.
but amazing ministry there too. I've got three sons: Eli, Flynn, and Jean, and yes, as I saw on three T-shirts printed recently, Eli made the rules. Flynn is the reason the rules exist, and the rules don't apply to Gene. So one, two, three. So yeah, they're all finding their own way in very different sort of directions, which is really cool to see them kind of folding out in different directions. As opposed to kind of they're all artistically engaged to some degree. Eli's smashing guitar at the moment, which is awesome. He's probably more into sport.
Hmm.
Flynn's like loves connecting with his friends and gaming online, but is also a very good drummer.
Mm.
And Gene's right into acting and theatrics and collecting Star Wars like me. So we connect
Wow.
really well there.
I'm hearing, I mean, again, and I have, I'm sure someone's done the thesis work on it, but the connection between the creative soul and the pastoral heart is what I'm hearing in your family makeup. But that must make you vulnerable a lot too. You live with I assume by this age you got a thick skin, but you probably got a pretty soft heart, yeah.
Mm, mm. In these two chairs behind me, I sit and hear some horrid life stories.
Mm.
I honestly do, and some of the stuff has been extremely difficult to hear and process.
How do you ground that? Do you know how to ground that? I mean, I'm hearing that Katie's a therapist, and so obviously there's some skill in your household.
Yeah, yeah. There's a couple of different ways. One, once I finish in here and I write my case notes and everything and I hit send, I just need to move my body. I need to get outside and play some backyard cricket with the boys or
Mm.
take a couple of the boys and a footy down to the park and we'll just throw the ball around for the dog and kick a footy, blow off some steam that
Mhm,
way.
mhm, mm.
And I've had to kind of go like, can I fix this person? What I can do is give them a momentary reprieve and an artistic expression, which gives them almost like a break from their mental health for a few hours.
Yeah.
And if we do that enough times and they listen back to those words that they've sung or I've sung with them or whatever, maybe they'll start believing them. So yeah, everyone who comes and sees me has got a team, like has
Mm.
got like, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, maybe even an OT. So I'm part of a jigsaw puzzle of that person's life.
Yeah.
But some of the cases are just so complex and historical and
Yeah.
it's just, and then probably one of the things I struggle with is knowing when to bite my tongue when they're saying, I'm quite paranoid of X, Y, and Z. I was up
Mm,
all night watching horror movies, and then I drank, a
mm,
Red Bull for breakfast, and I'm like,
mm.
okay, all right. So how do we unpack that and
Yeah.
help them sort of see that maybe there's some sort of role in, circadian sleep rhythms and perhaps
Mm.
even diet that may actually be contributing to the levels of anxiety here.
The breaking of habits, the breaking of patterns, which, again, you're working with people that are probably those habits have been, built since birth kind of thing.
Mm,
And so you're trying to break through. So it's we used to believe here's a sleepy time tea and some white noise on your speaker and you'll be fine. Now
mm,
I mean we're learning all the time about mental health, but for me at least, and I think for you too, that feeling of being in church in a moment of what you and I would refer to as worship, of stillness. That's still one of my favorite. I call it a texture. I grew up sleeping under the seats while mum and dad got church ready, kind of thing, and
mm,
and there's a sound there that I try to capture. Even in my own world, when I'm trying to settle my own heart and my own mind down,
mm,
that seems to have become more and more important for you too. That
mm.
sound, that expression. Tell us where you're up to with that kind of musical expression for yourself.
Yeah. So probably if we rewind the clock a little bit back to like November last year, I suffered a really chronic anxiety episode,
Mm,
um, which really, really knocked me about, like nothing I'd ever experienced before. And the way I described it to my bandmates was imagine a guitar string just stretched like 30 times harder than it should ever be stretched.
yeah.
And the really, really tricky and unknown of it was that I couldn't go, oh, this is because of X, Y, or Z. And if I address X, Y, or Z, this will go away. It was just an absolute heightened state of something
Mm,
as unknown as that, and going, what what is this about? We actually ended up having to cancel a tour of shows to about 7 or 8 shows, which was enormously disappointing because we're kind of at the stage in our careers where we'll just play the occasional thing here and there.
yeah.
And Antiskeptic's not on a plane every second weekend anymore, thank goodness.
Mm,
But this was like going to be a great, run of shows.
yeah.
But we weren't able to do it. The music that I started to write was like it kind of reminisced, like, it kind of took me right back to the beginning of Antiskeptic when I was talking to God about Antiskeptic and going, God, like, I really want to hear a a band that's got like a faith perspective that sounds like Silverchair, Grinspoon, the Foo Fighters, Helmet, um, all of these bands, all mushed all together in one, but with a faith message. Not necessarily every song with a faith message, but the underpinning.
Mm,
And God was like, "You need to write it." And I was like, "Okay." So I started writing songs for Antiskeptic. I didn't know it at the time. I was just writing songs.
just writing songs, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, Lord, lead me to the worship music that's just about absolute surrender and absolute death to self.
Hmm.
And where do I hear this music? And I just felt God say, you're going to need to write it yourself. And so yeah, I've started writing music and producing it up.
But this
Yeah.
feels like a new answer to prayer. The answer to your prayer when you were, what, 16, 17, I don't know how old you were when you
Mm,
started writing that
mm,
stuff, was write the sound that you want to hear
Yeah.
with the words that I want to speak, sort of thing. And for those of you listening who don't come from a faith perspective, it's sometimes a little hard to describe.
Mm,
I'm talking as if this makes perfect sense, but
mm. Yeah, yeah.
but this period in your life, you've in November of 24, you've had the anticipation of a great release of energy, fun stuff, back with the bandmates, all the
Mm.
old stories, traveling on the planes. You've sort of built yourself up for that, but your body, mind, spirit, soul just goes no.
Yeah, yeah. The whole dashboard was flashing red,
Mm.
every warning sign.
And so
And
it wasn't what I'm just pointing out there is it wasn't the
yeah.
next day that you went, I'm going to start writing different music to calm myself down.
No,
This
no, no.
this has been a
It was
process.
it was a little while after that,
Mm,
and through seeing a psychologist and spending time talking with lots of other people,
mm,
seeking other professional help. And this was part of it, part of the story of it, expressing my faith that I believe has carried me through this anxiety period, which, by the way, I'm not out of.
yeah.
It's an ongoing process.
Mm,
And as my wife said to me a couple of days ago, she goes, if the build up to this was 30 years long, it
yeah.
makes sense that you're not going to knock this over in even 12 months.
Talk to me about that for a second, guys. We're fixed, especially, dads. I've talked to dads who are, in shared custody spaces and all sorts of, there's all sorts of dads out there, but all
Mm,
of us, I reckon to a person, every bloke I talk to is still talking about how they're going to fix the thing.
mm.
They're gonna fix the house. They're gonna whatever it is. And I think it's not just the male of the species, but it seems somewhat unique to us that we want to have an end game.
Yeah,
I want to know where the bullseye is. I'll just aim there and I'll get that done. And by the way, don't talk to me about the complexities of trying to get there. Just give me the one single line through.
yeah, yeah. Well, I
And
think that speaks to um, the profound difference between a fixed solution and nursing.
go with
Like
that. Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
we, we don't like the idea, and we're middle aged now. We don't like the idea of going, oh, okay, I might have to live with this.
Mm-hmm.
We want, oh, I took the medication, I did what the doctor said, and now I'm back. You know, um, we're starting to become wizened people
Mm.
of some years, and
Yeah.
there is still, there's still fights to be had and victories to be won over different things in our minds and in our spirits and that kind of thing. But there are some maybe bodily things which aren't as straightforward a fight. And maybe I will need to manage. Maybe I don't want to speak these words over myself. Maybe I'll need to manage anxiety to some degree for the remainder of my life.
Talk to me about, for me, one of the interesting things is uh, parenting is something you get into, hopefully out of you and your partner going, wouldn't it be
Let's do this.
wonderful? Wouldn't it
Yeah,
be
yeah.
wonderful? And I know that's not everybody's beginning, but that was ours. And somewhere down the track, we discovered 5 people lived in our house that were our children,
Mm, mm.
and we'd gone into whatever that parenting thing is, the state of emergency thing where you're just like, I just got to make sure this little person lives well. And, I'm going to the doctor every other night and, we're in emergency overnight and all of the things. And at some point they start to detach from you to the point of they can,
Mm.
make their own sandwiches and they can do their own
Yeah.
things. And I think the heightened intensity of that moment, and who knows, it's many moments that kind of comes down. I think that's where you realize you've actually given out a lot of energy, a lot of mental capacity, a lot of that you didn't even know you had in the first place. And
Yeah.
then you hit this middle age patch where a lot of guys, well, guys and girls, obviously, we stop and go, who am I now?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I've given so much of myself out. Tell me about the feeling of, I mean, have you gone back and sort of said, where did the tank get emptied? Where did I miss out?
Well, it was interesting when you kind of introduced me as a person that's like, really high on details and like, goes large, on whatever he does. Like I think back on a conversation with a young guy, Jamie, that used to work at the Push when I was working there, and I started riding my bike from Greensboro to Brunswick each day for work.
What? So
And
the push, just quickly, the push is
is a youth music organisation that supports all of the freezer committees right across Victoria.
good.
So we were like an advisory body for them. And he said, "So Andrew, you've bought a bike and with the intention of riding here a couple of days a week." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Now you're riding to and from 5 days a week." And
Mm.
I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "And then you, instead of re-landscaping a little bit of your backyard, you're re-landscaping the whole backyard, you know?" And I don't know whether that was a pride thing or just this is the one life I've got. You know, I don't want to sleep through it and kind of get to the end and be like, oh, there's a lot of things I guess I could have done. But yeah, look, I think I've kind of been going large for a long time, like
Mm.
just kind of dreaming big. And I mean, Antiskeptic, my rock band, is probably the biggest project that I've ever done, short of, you know, raising kids and renovating this house, which certainly put up a fight at times, and building
Mm.
this studio and that kind of thing. But I think that maybe the warning signs were around a sense of part of my identity was in a sense of achieving, and you know, maybe I had a feeling that a lot of people kind of had me pegged for what I would achieve in my life, and I kind of wanted to work against that and make them go, "Oh, you you did do a thing. I was wrong after all."
Yeah.
You know.
So many of us are motivated by the prove the others wrong
Yeah.
line, and but again, that's largely well, whoever some of us are still trying to prove the school bully wrong, 30
Yeah,
years
yeah.
later, aren't we?
That's
And
right.
now you found yourself in a space of sort of perfect weakness, really, as far as I can tell.
Mm, mm,
Talk to me about how it feels to be Andrew Kitchen now compared to the Andrew Kitchen you thought you knew even 12 months ago.
mm. Well, for one, when I have people sitting in these chairs behind me here and they say I've had a 25-year battle with anxiety, to me now that means a whole lot more than it did
Yeah.
12 months ago. You know, I'm just like, whoa, 25 years, like it's a debilitating thing. And some of the symptoms I'm even feeling right now,
Mm,
actually. It's amazing. So a huge heightened level of compassion
mm,
for people and understanding and empathy. It's a humbling thing going, I don't feel like I'm that old, but I'm needing to be more conscious of my activity and output levels. And I need to keep listening to my wife in that space because I'll get up in the morning and be like, oh, sweet. I've got two songwrites for the US. I'm going to knock them out before my first client at 9:30. And then I've got a 9:30, a 12 o'clock, and a 2:30.
yeah.
And I'll finish at 5. And, you know, and Katie's like, that's a lot for one day. And I'm like, "Ah, I just love smashing it, you know. And then I get to the end and I'm kind of fried and I start to feel the pings of you pushed yourself too hard.
One of the things that my family kindly said to me recently is, well, to put it very succinctly, Dad, you're not hiding it as well as you think you are.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you're children, I mean, again, this is not everybody's story, but we've been in long-term marriages, so
Mm.
there's a person there that knows you incredibly
Yeah.
intimately. And at times, I don't know about yourself, but I still feel like there's I still feel like I'm a very complex person that she doesn't quite understand.
Mm, mm,
It's the ego rising up. But I think what took me by surprise was when my older boys were able to reflect with my wife, "Hey, Dad,
mm,
hey, husband, you're not actually staying as calm as you think you are. You're
mm,
not actually as rational as you think you might be."
mm.
Because I think again, the safer space for us, if you are blessed with a family and a wife that you get along with, the safest place to let loose is at home.
Mm.
Did you find it was affecting your home life more? Were they the first people to pick up on it?
Yeah, yeah. There was like times of kind I just hit this snappiness that I couldn't kind of break out of.
Mm,
And they were just young kids, just being young kids. And so like
mm,
saying the things that young kids say, you know, and getting into bed and I'm like, have you brushed your teeth? No. Oh, right. Just get out of, and just sweat. I was sweating the small stuff.
Yeah.
And that's my bugbear. That's one of the things I know I need to work on. That relationship is more important than that kind of stuff.
So the lifelong lesson of trying to let go, what have you had to let go of in the last, I guess we're talking to you about 6 or 9 months later now. What have you had to let go of to try and
Um,
recalibrate?
I think possibly being in a band is a long journey, and you've got a lot of time in that time to sort of dream
Mm,
and kind of assume that the biggest thing you're ever going to do is in front of you.
mm,
And when it kind of feels like you step off that stage, what feels like possibly for the last time, the message that I have told myself previously is like, why would anyone listen to me now?
mm,
I
hmm.
did a thing which has got an expiry date before, you know, antiskeptic might mean something to a lot of people for a bit, but that's all dating. So letting go of that kind of feeling of kind of, it's a big deconstruction of ego as I've spoken about. The sooner you start to deconstruct your own ego, the less of a blow it will be when life starts to do it for you. Um,
I like that.
so so
Yeah, because life will do it for you.
yeah. If you're just going, man, I'm grateful I get to play another gig. Man, I'm grateful I'm still mates with my bandmates. And
Mm,
who knew 1999 in the back of a record store, and here we are in 2025 still enjoying live music, same lineup.
yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
Remarkable on anybody's level. Because again, that speaks to the intentionality of relationship that you have. Because
yeah.
I know you're the glue for that group.
Mm.
But there's very intentional that you're a very intentional person is what I'm picking up in everything that you do. But there's an equal and opposite payoff for that as well.
Yeah.
Who does that for you?
Most likely my wife,
Mm,
actually. And I've got a few very good close friends
mm.
that have seen the arc and seen the journey. And we're now old enough now, mate, to have friends that have known us for 30 plus years.
Yeah, mate.
And and they've seen the patterns.
Yeah.
They've seen the patterns emerge. And yes, I've had friends have those sorts of you're not hiding this as well as you think you are kind of conversations with me, which has been amazing. And
Mm.
you've got a good friend when they're prepared to say that sort of stuff to you. But look, get back to that question about what have you had to let go of.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess for a while, and I've really kind of really let it go. I feel, even though it just pops into my head from time to time, the living out the past in your mind and going, gee, I wonder if things had been different if
The
we'd got
sliding
that
doors.
tour or
Yeah.
we'd had this person managing us
Yeah.
or maybe I would have become the rock and roll star that I'd always dreamed. But I can tell you right now that if I was actually a certified rock star right now, I think I'd be hating my life.
Mm. That's an enormous understand like the depth of understanding there is well, it's just wisdom. Basically, you're looking at the sliding doors moments, which previously were the juice that drove you.
Mm,
I missed it that time. I'm gonna get it next time. I didn't get the opportunity. I'm gonna prove that person wrong, whatever it
mm,
was. And now through age and experience, and yes, your body saying stop it,
mm,
and the unraveling of the ego, you're sitting in a place which is more trusting than ever, and by definition, therefore more vulnerable than ever.
mm,
So,
mm.
so the things that gave you the strength to keep pushing, keep driving before, now what gives you strength?
Well, you've probably heard a lot of it talked through that my strength is in my dependence on God. That
Mm,
that that is all I have left. Um, I said to one of my NDIS clients last week, sitting in these chairs here, and I was just like, mate, um, I don't have anything to offer you.
mm,
The only thing I have to offer you is that I'm connected with the Holy Spirit. And this is some Christian jargon, but it is true for me. And I said, if you are inspired in this place to write music and to write words and to express yourself and to do these recordings with me, it is because of the giftings God's given me
Mm.
and my interceding on your behalf. And this is getting jargon again, but
Mm.
interceding on your behalf with the Holy Spirit as to what you need today. And that's what I do. I just sit with people and I go, I'm sitting there praying the whole time, going, what do you need today?
Mm.
What do you need? I'm not actually even sure what question you just asked me, but that's where I've landed.
It's the I think to reflect it back to you the understanding that when a sentence starts with all I have left,
Mm,
you're getting to the essence of how you're hardwired or
mm,
what's possible. And you've stopped, again, we have children that the world is their oyster and, their journey is ahead of them. And I think that for us, this conversation for me is about blokes who are trying to be as healthy as they can to give our kids the best chance of launch.
mm,
Because obviously, we're the bloke they see up close
mm,
in their formative
mm,
years. We're their
mm,
example, whether we like it or not. And dads carry, every dad has versions of themselves where they think, screwed that up, I messed that up, and I encourage dads all the time, just say sorry a lot more than you do, and,
mm,
and and try and be humble enough to show your humanity. But I think a lot of brilliant journeys, a lot of wisdom, a lot of stuff that becomes beautiful contributions to the humans around us start with, this is all I have left.
mm.
This is
Yeah.
the pure essence. And again, it steps away from the need to tell everyone what's my skill, what's my contribution, what's my
Mm,
work ethic. All I have left is these few life lessons. And for you, as you say, you're still working on the mental health, still working on the ability to be still and know.
mm,
And you know, there's a beautiful Psalm 46, which has always affected me, and it talks about though the oceans roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging, he's still God in heaven, and that psalm ends with, "I will be still and know that
mm,
you are God," which you would have learnt that scripture as a kid,
mm, mm.
but you're now, how old are you now?
48.
What does that sort of scripture mean to you now then, comparative?
You don't need to keep proving yourself to yourself.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or earning your place through the strength of your arms or the strength of your back or your cleverness or your earning potential or all of those things. And it's just like, man, those things don't matter anymore. It's like it's like all that matters is just abiding in God. That's what it comes down to for me.
You've got two tattoos on your arms,
Yeah.
which you are just, let's just tap into the pure nerdiness of Andrew
Yeah.
Kitchen, because
Yeah.
the font is something to speak about.
Yes.
But let's tell people what's on your arms.
So there's a Star Wars language called Aurebesh, which is Aurebush or Besh or something, or Aurebesh, and like
Cool.
it's mainly used for like on the sides of ships and on signs and around the galaxy, and it's like
Hmm.
this universal language for all of the different aliens and people from wherever they're from. It's this all in one language,
I'm
and
I'm nerding out right now. I didn't even know that. That's
yeah.
wonderful.
So many years ago, God revealed to me, I feel that the theme of my life was beauty from brokenness.
Mm.
I grew up in a Christian household, and mum and dad still together and still happily together. So I'm that's not part of my story, but through my teens, I certainly experienced a brokenness through my education and bullying experiences at school, which were very foundational. But I've seen the way that God's done a restoration work in me, and even simple stuff like I get a real massive kick when I find something on hard rubbish and I restore it and I clean it and I give it new life and new purpose. And I go,
Mm.
beauty from brokenness is about the restoration of us
Hmm.
and the
Hmm.
restoration of our world. So I've in Aurebesh on my right arm, just underneath my forearm here, it says "Beauty from Brokenness," and then on the left arm, which is the what I believe will be the theme for the second half of my life, which is strength in dependence. And yeah, that's hopefully what I'm going to live out with just an acknowledgement every day that the only strength I have, the only strength I have access to is that which is found in God.
It's life, the universe, and everything, isn't it? The answer to everything is to find the hope that's an anchor for your soul.
Mm.
There are guys listening, I know, and girls that are listening to, who may just be in the middle of the valley with their own mental health.
Mm.
You're not through the valley. This is we're having this conversation whilst you're still,
The
you know.
valley is wide.
Mm.
It is deep and it is wide.
So give us your, I guess, your encouragement, from, I guess, from a health services point
Yeah.
of view to a spiritual point of view. What would you say to people who are right now potentially thinking that sounds a lot like me?
Yeah.
There's something
Yeah.
you've said today that sounds like them.
You can start really practically. One thing that I've realized was that my body was misinterpreting signals as anxiety. So I'm drinking more water now than I ever have before because when I got thirsty, my body was like, this is anxiety. And I'd be like, no, I'm actually just thirsty.
Wow.
Or when I'm hungry and my body's going, that's anxiety. I'm like, no, no, I just need something to eat.
Mm.
So yeah, my doctor was like, Andrew, I want you to drink a lot of water. You got to keep your fluids up. And I'm like, okay. And I've realized sort of why that is. We are very fortunate in this country with like campaigns like the "It's okay to not be okay" kind of messaging.
Mm.
And so when we had to cancel all those gigs, I was the first to put it on Facebook and go, I'm not well at the moment. This is what I'm experiencing.
Mm.
And it's okay to not be okay. Therefore, there is no shame here.
Yeah.
There's just a person going, I'm not coping. I
Hmm.
don't quite understand why, because I love this. I love performing, but I'm not coping. I don't know why. I'm going to need to take some time and I'll be back to you. Love to you all.
Yeah.
And I was just inundated with like 600 messages and
Mm.
just like, me too. Thank you for speaking up. Thank you for your honesty, all that kind of thing.
Mm.
I remember speaking with Ben Harper, blues musician and songwriter, and he just said, man, don't be afraid to limp in public.
Love it.
And it'll just bring other people out of the woodwork. And I was just like, wow, okay. And so that's the way I've lived in this season of my life. Like when people have sort of come up to me, seen me in the street or like family events or whatever,
Mm.
and they're like, "Hey Andrew, how you doing now?" And I'm
Mm.
like, "Thank you for asking. Like thank you. This is how I'm doing." And the more we can do to normalize a mental health journey, the better I think it is going to be for the next generation. Like, so I talk to my boys about, all of the different things I was experiencing in my body and that I
Mm.
was confused and unsure, but I was still praying and seeking stillness. But yeah, I was just a really open book with people. Now, that's not everyone's vibe. A lot of people would be like, that's the last thing I could possibly want. But we all handle these things in different ways. And I wanted to throw myself upon my community of people and hear the group collective wisdom of what it is like to be in a season like this and what are the things that actually help. But getting back to practical stuff, realizing that it's going to affect your sleep and that you'll get up each day possibly exhausted from possibly very little sleep that you've had.
Hmm.
But the reserves that we've got in our bodies just to do another day, to keep turning up and to do another day is remarkable.
Mm.
And I remember, yeah, right off the back of canceling all those gigs and everything, a couple of days later, there was a men's camp through our church. And I was like, oh, there's no way I'm going to go to this. And I just gritted my teeth and went.
Yeah.
And I went for the morning session and the afternoon session. And by that time, my body was like, we're done.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to be with some blokes, and one of them was like, "I'll drive you home, no
Mm.
problem." And it
Yeah.
was about an hour and a half each way, just,
Yeah.
mate, we got the afternoon off to do different activities. I like driving. Let's get you home. And so I went to the men's camp. I had a good time as best I possibly could, feeling wretched.
Mm.
Got home, went to bed, and I think I slept like 3 or 4 hours as soon as I got home.
Yeah.
And then I got up, had dinner, and then slept about another 9 or 10 hours. And the
Mm.
following morning, I was like completely different. I
Wow.
was just like,
Yeah.
wow. And so, my encouragement for your listeners, for people who might be experiencing anxiety, feeling a whole lot better, maybe a good night of sleep away.
One of my favorite psalms again, Psalm 3, has is David's in a war, as he often was as a king,
Mm,
and it's the middle of the psalm. The pivot point of the psalm is he's pouring out his heart and saying, why is there so much terror around me? And then it says, and you you help me lie down and I sleep and I'm ready the next day to go again.
mm, mm.
This is not even that deep and spiritual. It's just your body is it's just a body,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and and you can't expect it to be a machine
Mm,
to keep up. So, man, I know that when you posted, and this is the reason we're having the conversation, that you were quite public about it. You weren't detailed about it, but it was very obvious that you were saying, "Hey, guys, this is where I'm up to." So I
mm,
asked if you were okay to have this conversation with me today. But it was an encouragement to me as well, and I probably went through that moment of how do I reach out to Andrew? We have sort of a you're probably one of those guys that I've known at a distance for a long time,
mm,
but the love is there.
mm,
But it was one of those moments that I actually stopped and went, I don't know. So it was one of those. I think I sent you something small, as a message a little while later. But what would be your encouragement to people going, I don't know what to say to my friend.
mm.
I don't know how to reach out to my friend.
It. I remember when, kind of like ground zero day, when I actually called my folks and I said, "Can you come over?
Wow.
Can you just come over, please?" And they literally were at one end of the house, just mum and dad were down there, and I was actually part of the day I ended up just sleeping on our bed. But it was just so comforting to know that there was someone else there, that I wasn't in a house by myself.
Mm.
So that was when it was really, really critical. Possibly, so just companionship. You don't have to be a trained counselor just to sit with someone. And if conversation happens, then great. If it doesn't, that's okay. Presence is a very, very important thing. People actually taking time out to go, I'm just coming to be with you. Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate in that Katie was able to continue functioning, and it was only effectively 1.5 days where I was actually in bed for that period of time,
Mm.
before I started to feel like, okay, my energy's coming back now. We had cancelled the shows, so like that kind of
That
looming
burden had
pressure.
gone away. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So I was back to, I could be functional again, but then the hard work began of the psychologist and the various therapies and stuff like that. Yeah, that companionship says, you're not alone. I'm here with you
Mm.
and I love you, and you don't have to try and work this out alone.
Well, I mean, we can grab that for a second because again, loneliness for me, my biggest one of my messages that comes through in almost every bit of public speaking I do is aloneness is the biggest enemy you have, and it's
Mm,
the biggest trick that for that we I talk about the enemy and the spiritual as well, will make you feel like you are the only one experiencing this.
mm,
Nobody understands it. You can't share it. If you do, you'll be a burden on others. So stay alone, stay in your little space, and please go away. And
mm,
again, the thoughts get much darker than that, of course, and
mm,
the suicidal ideations
mm,
that can come in those dark spaces. It happened for me about 7 or 8 years ago, and it shocked me to my core.
Mm.
uh, because all I've ever done is try to be positive and happy, and I write happy poppy music, and everything I do is to try and encourage. That's kind of my gift mix. I try to, you know, um, talk everybody up and whatever, and I couldn't believe that my mind went there.
It's pretty surprising and jarring. My personal experience with that was that I didn't consider it myself, but I I realized I was like, okay, I can understand why people would see that it was their only option.
Mm,
And I guess another thing I learned through this anxiety experience was that the true definition of the word anguish,
mm,
where the normal things that you go to for the little dopamine hit, the pat of the dog, the walk down the park, your favorite sandwich, whatever, none of them had any appeal. And
mm.
like, it was just like, even like the thought of, "Oh, I'm exhausted, going to bed" was stressful because it's like, I'm probably not going to sleep. And so that was really exhausting, like going, there's just no escape from being me right now.
Right, right, right,
There's no release. And if that, and I was only in that sort of really heavy place for like 3 or 4 days.
right.
If that had been a month, you would just be like, it'd be like I'm in a burning building,
Mm,
and what are you gonna do? Like you've got to get out. Like it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. And I would beg and plead the listeners to reach out, just to reach out to their friends and family in those dark places. And there is so much support available. There is life post suicide, even suicide ideation.
mm.
There's the whole semicolon movement. Have you heard about that, mate?
No, tell me about that one.
Yeah, so people get a tattoo just of a semicolon, and a semicolon in grammatical terms is the sentence could have stopped there, but there's this extra bit.
Love it.
So people get a tattoo of like this semicolon, which says, "I've been at the point of suicide, but I'm still here continuing on after it could have stopped." So it's a pretty beautiful thing. And I know a couple of people who have got those tattoos.
I love that, man. That's beautiful. Thanks so much for sharing. And I feel like we should probably do another one of these in 12 months' time,
Mm.
and keep track. And for those who have, we've talked on some fairly heavy stuff, and again, I point out that for me, my experience of knowing you has been high energy, high positivity, get it done kind of dude that has achieved at a remarkably high level in pretty much everything you've done. And I'm talking to you now as a guy who said, "This is all I've got left."
Mm.
And I'm genuinely encouraged by the wisdom and the grace that you've been able to give yourself and give those around you. So if we're going to turn on some music to help us chill out, what are we turning on next? What's your pop? What's your what's your Spotify recommendation for us after we get off the podcast? What should we be listening to?
Can I say an Antiskeptic song?
Of course, you should say an Antiskeptic song
Okay.
because it comes from your heart.
Okay. There's a song that actually closes our album called Aurora, and
Yeah.
it's just called Breathe Into.
Mm.
And the lyrics in one section of the song is live what you learn, and all that your mind needs, you'll find it well. To some degree, I'm kind of living by that own motto, trying to live out what I'm learning about this life experience. And my mind is being freed and opened up for new creativity and possibility. And the honesty of accepting who you are in your middle age and going, who am I from here? I know what's kind of defined me to an extent in the past, but where to from here is an unwritten chapter. Yeah, so there's some really, really beautiful violin and cool time signature change.
That's the nerdy muso part of it.
Yeah,
But just quick, when you wrote that 20 years,
yeah,
Aurora?
yeah.
So you're just preaching to yourself now.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah.
I
The
love it.
young Andrew was preaching to the older Andrew, going, "This is actually going to be a song that you will continue to live out and learn from in 20 years' time after you wrote it."
Beautiful, man. Dude, thank you so much for jumping on Father Figures with us as we figure out fathering together, we figure out being middle-aged men, we figure out all the things we're trying to figure out, but keep landing on this is all I got. Just dependence and continuing to grow in faith and understanding and wisdom. So thanks, dude. Appreciate you sharing.
Well, I hope after that conversation with Mr. Kitchen that you're giving yourself a little bit more grace to understand that over our seasons, our capacity changes, but our courage doesn't have to. Some days you just don't have the capacity. Some days you just don't have it in the tank. But if you've been taught courage by those around you, and if you've taken time to understand your hardwiring, if you've taken time to admit your weaknesses, if you've taken time to not only admit your weaknesses, but to allow others to help you to lift you up, then you're doing better than a lot of people. You know, admitting that we can't do everything ourselves, admitting that, you know, like we've talked about with mental health, it's easy to discover if you're feeling ill, you know, you've got a stomach ache or a headache or whatever. It's sort of, it feels like something that can be understood, medicated and moved on. That's not the case with mental health. We need to take time to understand how we got there in the first place and then learn new skills to recover, reset and renew. So I hope that today, if you're on the lower end of your capacity right now, I pray that your courage is still there, your courage to ask for help, your courage to lean in to the community around you and to say, I can't do this by myself. Your courage to stop, take a breath, maybe say no to the extra thing today, whatever it happens to be, so that you can have more capacity in the future for not only yourself, but for those around you as well. Thanks for being part of Father Figures today. Praying for courage for you all. Praying that whatever capacity you're at today, that you're okay with that. And you give yourself a big hug, a high five, and consider the lilies of the field and go do some bird watching. It helps. God bless.